Cheer for me. I'm homeless, poor, and clean. Don't worry, everybody.
You take 5 million steps, and one step could be the ankle that ends you.
That's a great thought headed into 5 million steps for myself. Welcome to the Free Outside Show. I am in a cabin in Montana. You can tell because it looks really cabiny back here. Also, this episode is for everyone who's like, what the heck is an Appalachian Trail FKT? How do FKTs work? I want to set one. How do I do that? Well, guess what? We are joined with Allison Mercer today, the queen of FKTs. We get into everything involved in FKTs, the different styles, how they started, why they're cool, what you're allowed to do, what you're not. And then we talk about some of the issues permeating the endurance world today to close things. It's a really cool episode. I hope you enjoy it. I think it'll set the framework and the groundwork to explain what the heck I'm even doing out there on the Appalachian Trail, how I'm going for it, why, maybe, all those things, and some good opinions at the end. If you like it, and if you don't, just give it a 5-star rating on whatever platform you listen on. And we have a Patreon, so I am out on the Appalachian Trail when this goes live. So I'm going for the record. And if you want to support this podcast, this content, because I'm going to keep these episodes rolling twice a week. I don't know why. Someone told me I could just drop down to once a week, but you guys deserve the best. So if you want to support the show, patreon.com/freeoutside is a great place to do it. And content's just going to be hidden everywhere during this record attempt. It's going to be pretty awesome, but that means I've had to do a ton of work leading into it to set things up to work seamlessly. So support it by 5-star rating, review, smash that subscribe button, go over on YouTube, stream the episode for your dog. 5 stars there, subscribe. All right, here is the episode. Yeah, I get paid all the time to do everything, just to exist. I'm an influencer. All right, today on the Free Outside podcast, we have on a very familiar guest, our reoccurring guest, Allison Mercer, the queen of FKTs. How many FKTs do you have, Allison?
I think I have 3 or 4. I don't know.
Yeah, queen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've overseen millions, let's just say. The dictator of FKT.
Along with being our East Coast correspondent and Western States expert, what do you do with FKT? Fastestknowntime.com for anyone who doesn't know.
I think the better question is, what don't I do? Um, starting off, well, when I started, which is almost 5 years ago. Oh gosh.
Whoa.
I just answered questions that people submitted to the FKT site back in the day when Buzz and Peter, the founders of FKT, were still running the site. And then I was asking them why they weren't posting or promoting certain FKTs that were happening. And they're like, what's social media? Oh, you want to take care of that? Done. It's yours. So, moral of the story, careful what you ask for or what you just ask. So then I took over social media. And then fast forward to when Outside took over FKT, I became in charge of looking after the regional editors, making sure routes were still processed, the tracking now page, the newsletter, the podcast, uh, just in general, if there are any controversies, people are being mean to the regional editors and sending some nasty emails, I just try to moderate and, basically the muscle behind FKT too,
So once Outside bought FKT, you got a lot more work is basically how it went.
Yes. A lot more work. So yes, it's funny when people email or send a DM and they're like, oh, who on your team? And I'm like, oh, team. That's cute.
Yeah, we were just talking about an interaction like that recently where it was like, oh, I thought you had a huge team and we're like a nonprofit or something. And you're like, yep, just me.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we could, do more and all that, but we kind of operate separate from Outside, which is nice because initially when it was acquired, it was like, well, the future of a KT, will it be a paywall? Will it be? But It's largely been just kind of operating standard. So hopefully people don't notice a difference.
Yeah, no, I don't think people even know. And you must be really good at your job if they think you're an entire army of people working there.
That is true. I'm like, all right, well, if they think that there's a lot of people doing all these jobs, I mean, we do have about 15 regional editors covering the world, which, we get at least 20 submissions a day, FKTs, routes, you name it, are just questions. So we need
Mhm.
a lot of people covering those territories that kind of know the area a lot better than me, especially when we get very nuanced questions, reroutes, whatever. And I don't know everything going on in Qatar or Oregon or, Sweden. So at least I have a team that can help. That's my
Yeah.
team, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So before we go into current FKTs, what's the history of FKTs? How did it all start? Do you know are you well versed in all that stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've heard
You created them, right?
the
You started?
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, no, that was Buzz Burrell and Peter
Yeah.
Bachwin back, I think in 2000, maybe, yeah, around then. They never saw any kind of documentation on the fastest known times of Colorado Trail, John Muir Trail, so they decided to found their own kind of Wikipedia, Guinness Book of World Records for trails, and it just started off as a simple pro board where you just posted the fastest known time. There was no verification. I don't think we really had GPX watches. Um, and social media wasn't how it is today. So it was a much simpler time. So they just built that. And, fast forward, I think in 2017, 2018, it became the site that you know now. And
Mhm.
so because they were just getting so many submissions and Jeff Schuler, can't even talk, um, came on board and helped kind of organize the website in categories. And then during the pandemic, it just exploded. And there were so many submissions because there weren't races. So Buzz and Peter needed extra help, and that's when the regional editors came on board to help mitigate all of the submissions. That's when we were getting 40 or 50 a week. And I applied, never heard anything. So I applied again because I am persistent, not
Yeah.
annoying, not pestering, but persistent and followed through. And Buzz was just like, I appreciate your passion, your enthusiasm. I'm going to take that as positives. And would you want to answer questions? So here we are.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, and then well, I guess for anyone listening that doesn't know, the pro boards were like almost like Reddit style of just
Yes.
like a message board that some of them, like the AT, could go on for 20 pages of just comments on it. And yeah, it's so weird to think that's only, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. And
Mhm.
the levels of verification documenting of FKTs was all over the place. Like I think the standard was take a picture of yourself at the beginning and the end. And that was how it was time stamped. But then everything in between, it was like, and then write a trip report. Those were like the guidelines for it.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was just such a small community. It was not very many people doing the FKTs, it felt like, and not very many were recognized, but just such a very different time than now.
Oh, beyond. You didn't get, people will ask, oh, do I get a trophy? Do I get a certificate? And I'm just like, no. Do you want me to like print out the leaderboard for you? Uh, Not really. If you want to do something, by all means, like have at it. But yeah, we don't have the resources for that. This isn't a race. It's just kind of a choose your own adventure. So
Mhm.
I always get a kick out of that because I'm like, I don't know what you expect us to do, but yeah, I mean, it's largely based on the honor system. And that's when, you talk about people maybe cutting corners or cheating. And, you know, that's on you. Like, if you want to cheat and lie about something on a pro board or a message board, like, that's on you. That's on your conscience. But, I'd rather stick to the honor system.
Yeah, yeah, it was a total different time. And so before we go into like the styles and methods and all the things, yeah, what do people have to do to get an FKT and what's the award? They get a big payout, right? They get something for
Huge. Yeah, your check's in the mail. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
The
I've been
the
waiting on mine. I think you got the wrong address for mine.
well, when you're homeless, what is your address? Come on.
Yeah, side of the road, Montana.
Yeah, it'll be right there. Um, so all we need is, and people ask all the time, and it's in our guidelines. I just need proof that you did the route in the time that you said you did it, not elapsed time, moving time. So it's from the start, once you start till you end. So nothing like, oh, I slept for 2 hours, that doesn't count. No, it's the entire
Fire.
route. And usually it's in a GPX watch, Strava. People use trackers like Garmin InReaches, but we just need proof. Like, I don't care how you do it, just show me. Like,
Mhm.
I don't want to hear about the pain. I just want to see the baby. Like, just all I need. Like, it's very simple. And it's like, because people will want proof or people want to see that you did it. And especially like an AT, a Grand Canyon, a premier route, like we need to see the actual documentation that you did it. Like, once again, I hope you don't lie and I hope it's not, a doctored file, but it's all we need. Like, just verify, just like anything else. Just
Is there the requirement to, because it used to be with pro boards, generally you'd contact who had it and announce your intentions on a route. Where does it stand with that currently? And maybe it's different per route since there's like 10,000 FKTs these days.
Well, there's actually 20,200, I don't know, with variations and everything, who knows? But we're trying to cut down that. We're trying to make it less Strava, more FKT. But, it depends. It's also in good conscience. Like,
Hmm.
or if you're doing your research, who better than the person that has the record? Like, obviously, they've had success in it. So why not contact them? And also, if you're like me and it's like your baby, like Georgia Loop was like my baby just because I met Ben through it. And like, I did my research on it. We went out to do recon every weekend. Like, that was like my prized possession. So when someone wanted to go after it or anything, I'm like, not that they owe me or it's mine, but it's just like a nice thing to do. Or just, hey, and I don't think like in a lot of communities, do you have someone going, oh yeah, here are all my secrets. Like,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of people do, and that's just the difference in the community where I'm like, well, watch out, you can't get water here, or I fell like 50 times there because it was super overgrown. So it's just nice, but you don't have to. For premier routes, we do like people to send in tracking if they are using like an inReach or just a heads up so we're aware of what's going on. But we've kind of loosened that policy because it's like I get so many between the AT, Colorado Trail, Arizona Trail, Long Trail, like all the premier routes, and with us expanding the premier route list, it's hard to keep up with. But for the super duper like serious, like I want to keep like with yours,
Hmm. Yeah.
or if we want to put it on tracking now on our main page, it's good for people to follow along so they can share in on the journey like we did with John Kelly.
A quick break to talk about what I am wearing during this FKT, and spoiler alert, it's all John G. So I'm wearing the men's Trekker snappy shirt, the reverse paisley color. Why? Because it's short sleeve and it's quick drying, and it's just really easy to open up and get a little bit more ventilation when humidity is going to be high out there on the AT. I'm also wearing the men's AFO middle short ultra. I wear a size medium. They're just great because they have pockets, and the world just needs more pockets. I can keep a bunch of snacks in my pockets, and I have hip belt pockets and side pockets and front pockets. So I just need food everywhere because I'm gonna be eating between 8,000 and 10,000 calories a day. So I love the pockets on the men's AFO middle short ultra from Janji, and then the AFO hyperlight visor. Do visors look dumb? I don't know, but I'm in my 30s now, so it doesn't really matter. And they're just cool. I can put a bandana or a towel to cover my neck in the sun, or if I stick that bandana or towel in the water, it's just really good and cooling. Shop at janji.com. Use code FREEOUTSIDE for a discount and tell them I sent you. Back to the episode. What makes a premier route? How is that determined? Because I know the PCT used to be and now is no longer. I know the PCT is your favorite one for FKTs as well.
Such a joy, such a privilege. I mean, premier routes are the creme de la creme, the routes that are just iconic around the world, that if you're going out and you want to see something that has ruggedness, beauty, challenging, it encompasses all that. That you have a lot of competitive times on it, and it's routinely nominated for FKT of the Year. Those are it. And also that it doesn't change. You don't have reroutes, fires, controversy, which guess what? PCT does. And so it just became, because of all the fires, and when a reroute can be up to 100, 200 miles, that's
Mm-hmm.
a significant difference when you're going for the fastest known time. And it's not really comparing apples to apples when you're doing a trail that may have 200 miles less, or the reroute is a road walk versus trail.
Yeah.
So we were just like, listen, and just to make our lives easier, because once again, we're not getting paid millions of dollars. This is a labor of love. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally so much love and a lot of labor goes into everything that goes on behind the scenes of FKT. So just to cut out everything, I mean, it's still an iconic route and people are routinely named FKT of the Year for PCT. It's just the nuance of it is a
Uh-huh.
lot to take care of.
Yeah, and it's just out of everyone's hands year after year if it's the original expected route or a major reroute, and I think that just isn't fair to everyone involved. I mean, Katie Gunvalson last year had her FKT ruined one day in because of a fire. Like, it's that trail is just scary how much it can ruin you even if you do everything perfect.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's like what we talked about with John Kelly. You know, you
Uh,
take 5 million steps, and one step could be the ankle that ends you.
yeah. Yeah, that's a great thought headed into 5 million steps
Yeah,
for
positive
myself.
thought for you.
Yeah, and then the last aspect, before we get a little bit more specific, is so there's 3 different styles. They've changed a little bit, and lately, I've when people are like, "Are you going unsupported?" I usually just say, "Yeah," because obviously I can't go unsupported, but people mix up unsupported and self-supported all the time. But the 3 styles are supported, where basically you can get unlimited support as long as you cover the miles under your own power, I believe. And then
Yes.
self-supported is you cannot take outside aid unless you like available to everyone, I guess it would be. Like you resupply yourself, you walk into a town, buy from a store, that kind of thing. And then unsupported, which means that you better have everything dialed before you start because what you start with is what you get except for water. Is that pretty accurate summation?
Yeah. No, that's I should use that more. I should have written that down, because when people ask differences, or they're like, and one thing to note, that if you are going supported, you would have to beat the unsupported and self-supported times.
Mhm.
And so if you go unsupported, then you just have to beat the unsupported time. People forget that. And sometimes we've had cases where the self supported time is faster than the supported time, which, I mean, it goes into the argument of which style is better. And people will ask me that. And I'm like, I don't know you. Like, what is easier for you? Like, if you're going out for 800 miles, unsupported may not be the best idea.
Yeah.
Um, so, but yeah, I mean, self-supported is just you're doing everything on your own. Like, if you need to go to a store, you walk to the store. And depending on the route, like some routes, like the PCT, you can't hitchhike, where other routes you can. It's kind of per the route guidelines and per what's the precedent that's been set.
Yeah. And what about water sources and things on a unsupported attempt? Can you use a water fountain? I actually don't know this question. I should Google it.
I mean, it's a water source, so we kind of said like a fountain or a spring or, I don't know, like the Trevi Fountain, like that's a
Mhm.
water source. So, and it's open to the
Yeah.
public. So, yes. And you can forage, like if you see some wild mushrooms and want to take a chance, like by all means, like, I don't know, or berries, like who knows? But, I
So
feel like
Cam
that.
Haines could just hunt his way across an FKT and be
I
unsupported.
mean, full Oregon Trail style. Go for it. I mean, I don't know how heavy those guns are, but or or whatever bows he uses, you know,
Yeah.
but
I think
have
we
at
need
it.
to you need to find someone who did the Oregon Trail really fast 150 years ago and give them FKT of the week for April Fools. That would be
Oh my
amazing.
gosh. I totally will do that. Or just like, yeah, do Oregon Trail and then Louisiana Purchase and then
Lewis
see
and
what
Clark,
happens.
yeah.
Yes,
Lewis and
Lewis and
Clark.
Clark. Yes. But they
Yeah.
were supported by Sacagawea. So there you
Mixed
go.
gender team, yeah.
Which is like the nerdiest thing that only like 10 people will find funny, but I find it hilarious. So we're going to do it.
Yeah, that's how humor should work. If it makes you laugh, you just force it to make other people laugh too. That's how it
It's
goes.
it's like explaining an inside joke and then you realize how unfunny it is, but you still die laughing and everyone else is just like, is something wrong with you? And you're like, yes, duh.
Yeah. Yeah, big time. All right, I wanna focus before we go into my attempt, or
Oh,
we
wait,
don't
no,
have
we
to.
forgot one thing about self-supported rules, which
Yeah.
we call the Jeff Garmeyer rule is one thing that we didn't, that we had to change, and we have revised our guidelines just with the changing of the times and given, a lot has happened in the last, 10, 20 years in terms of support. And one thing that you cannot do in a self-supported attempt is have a camera crew or
Mhm.
people cheering for you, even if they're not giving you support, they're not giving you aid, they're not doing anything but going, "Hey, you can do it." That counts as support. If you have a drone flying over you to capture these epic shots, that is support. And we started doing it after your lovely Colorado trail. So you can thank everyone that's always trying to get content and asking, like, oh, hey guys, can I just have a drone? Or my camera crew is going to be hidden and we can't see them and they won't support me. Well, too bad. It's the
Yep.
rules.
You're
So
welcome, everyone. Yep.
yeah, like if, your brand or your content or your sponsors like, "Hey, can we get some footage of you during the attempt?" No. If you wanna do B-roll before or after, or you starting or you finishing, have at it. You want an actor to play you that is, like, pretending it's you on the trail, have at it. But if you are doing unsupported or self-supported, you better not have a camera crew unless it is you filming yourself.
Yeah, just running back and forth to get shots, yeah. It'd be really worthwhile.
Hey, whatever works.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's better for everyone, so you're welcome, everybody out there, because I think it's just better it's gonna be better content, it's gonna be better everything if you just get the shots before and after when you can actually get the right shot versus the only shot that's available. But
Mhm.
I think the precedent or why I felt okay and we reached out to Peter too was that Joe Grant on Nolan's 14 made a film with Black Diamond going unsupported, and it was like or whoever North Face or something, but it was just like, "Okay, this has been done, we're gonna do it." And then, like, 4 months after we shot all that, the rule changed for the FKT, so sorry, everybody.
Yeah, but I feel like it's a blessing in disguise because it
Mhm.
is kinda like support to have someone physically there. Like, you can call people all you want. You wanna FaceTime? Like, by all means, that just takes time and
Yeah.
battery and recharging. But, to physically see, like, another person, if you're on, like, an isolated trail and then you see a friendly face, like, that can change a lot. So, we're just like, "Let's remove that," like and then it's also a slippery slope where, what if they slip you a gummy bear? Or what if they say, oh, here's a Snickers? Like, you
Mhm.
don't know. We're not monitoring it. And if like you don't tell us, then we don't know. So
Yeah.
yes, we do believe in the honor system, but sometimes, people like forget and they're like, oh yeah, I forgot that you gave me all this food when I was supposed to go unsupported.
Yeah. Yeah. How does charging work in an unsupported FKT? Are they allowed to plug into a public outlet if they pass something or no?
Yeah. So we did use public outlets are allowed. Just with the times and if you
Mhm.
can, obviously, you're not it takes time. Like, if you wanna charge, like, especially if you have, like, my phone where it just takes forever to recharge everything, it's on you for it, but, yeah, I mean, it's open to the public, so outlets are okay.
Okay, cool. All right, now let's dive into the excitement of so I'm going for the Appalachian, as I believe you're supposed to say it, Appalachian Trail FKT, self-supported. So for people out there that have no idea, this means I can never get in a car no matter what once I start. I have to I can't have support or so film crews we talked about. I can't have anything set up as far as a special resupply at someone's house or anything. It's all got to be services and post offices or businesses that are available to everyone. Yeah, what else am I missing? What are the other self-supported premier route
Um,
guidelines?
you can get, like, help from a trail angel, something that's accessible to everyone. If someone's, like, leaves, a whole, you know, box full of goodies, like, you can have at it. Like, it's up to you. Like, it's open to anyone.
Mhm.
So, you need all of a sudden you got through the whites and, there. But if someone's like, "Hey, let me pace you 20 miles," like, no. Like, if you meet someone on a trail and you're walking with them, like, that's just how it is.
Uh,
It's the Appalachian
uh,
Trail. Like, there's lots of people. You can't say no, but, you have to be careful where people are meeting up and filming you or whatever. We had someone that was doing the PCT or Oregon section of the PCT, and this person was just like filming them constantly. And we're like, listen, like, that's messing up their route, and it can get kind of tricky where you're like, are they there for them, filming them, or is it just like a random stranger that's just being creepy? So, this is also PSA to leave Jeff alone.
yeah, yeah, maybe a quick selfie's okay, but I have to be moving quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, it
You're not
is
there
the
for
AT, so
interviews.
not that quickly. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is the disconnect between through hiker style, which is, taking advantage of amenities similarly, but there's a bunch of hitchhiking usually involved in a through hike versus when it's self-supported, the car is the big no-no, and we saw that ended someone's attempt on the PCT recently too, so the car thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think with AT, you can hitchhike and get shuttles. It's just the PCT where
Right.
Heather and, oh my gosh, you can put this in post after, I forget who else kinda set the precedent
Scott
where
Williamson?
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Look at you knowing your PCT history better than me. Um,
I'm the PCT expert, I know it all.
obviously, just ask you. Um,
Yeah.
they made the hitchhiking rule, one of those things where it's like, "We didn't, so y'all don't." So, but with AT, you can, especially with shuttles and things that are open to the public, and
Okay.
it's just wild too that people get really creative when they do caching because with self-supported attempts, you can also, cache things, which is just like making a box. Like you're mailing yourself a lot of
Mhm,
different packages along the way, which can be good and bad because if the post office is closed, there goes your package. Or if it
mhm.
sometimes, not to freak you out, uh, or,
Yeah.
if it gets lost or damaged, like, you kind of have to plan a lot of things and hope for the best. Like with Arizona Trail, I know a lot of people hide things for,
Mhm,
caches, but who knows if an animal will get to it or someone else. So you have to do a lot of praying and hoping, and that all the logistics go to plan, which, you know, you've done it
Yeah.
enough times where you're like, things never go to plan.
No, you just got to be prepared for the plan to fail. But yeah, caching is an interesting thing because there's a lot of strong opinions on it about if it should be a thing or not, which I don't know. You have anything to say on the caching opinion?
I mean, as long as it's done legally, like certain national forests, you can't because you
Mhm.
leave no trace and everything. It just takes time. Like if you're putting something out, like that's time going on the trail, leaving it, and you're assuming that it's gonna be there. Also, we kind of have a rule that, if you have a cache, you have to pick it up. Like you
Yeah.
can't just leave things anywhere. That's not being a good steward of the land. And another rule with FKTs is you have to go by the trail rules. Like we are, record keepers, not referees. We don't own the land. We can't set any, we have our rules on how you do things. But in terms of being on the trail and reroutes or any other rule that may apply to the trail, like that's on the Trail Association. And per our guidelines, you have to follow that. Like, it's not fair for us to go in on land that isn't ours and say, do this. So that's another thing that I probably should point out that, we have long list of guidelines, but at the end of the day, like follow what, they say, reroutes, all that. They do it for a reason.
Yeah, and the precedent I think is the biggest thing that people don't understand is like following the precedent of how people did it before you is the most generally accepted way to do it. Like for the PCT, it's like, especially Scott, I think he established it over and over again of like walking in and out of towns and things like that. Well, that is now the precedent that you follow it, and that's not going to be the same on a trail in China because it's a different trail, it's a different everything. But each trail, if you follow the precedent, that'll pretty much get you to where you're aiming to be for an FKT being accepted.
Definitely, and if you want also the acceptance of the community and not to get brutally ridiculed by doing a certain style in a certain way, you follow those kind of unwritten rules.
Yeah. Okay, let's dive into something fun. How are the FKTs of the year chosen? Because now, like, athletes have it in their contracts and stuff and things like that. Like, it's a big deal. How do you choose this? How do you take on this pressure?
They pay me lots of money. That's how I make my big money. It's not like I have a real job. Like, yeah, no, I have a real job. This is not my full-time job. You know, if people think that it's my full-time job because I have to do so much, but no. Like once again,
Because you're so
it
good at it. Yeah.
obviously they should. Like, no. Uh, yes, I am good. I promise. I feel like I do a good job. I tell myself that. I look myself in the mirror and tell myself I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. Well, not all the time. But anyways, with FKT of the year, um, basically as we get submissions and FKTs, we kind of put a little check mark as we're verifying everything like, hey, that was pretty cool. Hey, that was pretty significant. Or they took this much time off a route or to premiere route or something like that. And we kind of check box FKT of the year nominee. So by the time we get to the end of the year, we have a full list of things, routes that we thought all over the world was pretty cool, was notable to be FKT of the year. And then myself and the regional editors narrow it down and vote on the top 10, or top 5. Like, it just varies depending on the amount of submissions and FKTs, and usually, divided up between male and female. We're trying to get more non-binary submissions, so we
Mhm.
always consider that, but given the, not, that we don't get as many, we kinda just put it into like notables or just acknowledge them separately. But yeah, that's how it's chosen. And then, with our regional editors, them being all over the world, it's a good male female, so it's a good variety, so it's not everyone voting for North American routes or European routes or, Australia routes. It's a good way for people to vote unbiasedly. And these are FKT editors that know FKTs, know the region, and know the requirements, where it's not a popularity contest either. Where it used to be, where it was just a variety of people, FKTers, media, just all over the place, would vote, where it's kind of like they may not know or take the time to read all about the different nominees. Now, you may ask, who does all the research to list out all the different routes, the description of the routes, and how long is it, elevation, previous FKTs? Oh, that's me.
Wait,
Yay.
who writes all that out? Who writes out the submissions and the descriptions and the elevation? So who does that? Is it you?
Me.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. Who would have thought?
Yes. Once again, add that to the list of the job description. Yes. So, I just, once that we narrow it down, I make sure that the editors have a link to the route, to the submission, so they can take a deeper dive and take a look at the history of the route itself, and see why it was nominated for FKT of the year.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's now into the Appalachian Trail FKT. If I get the second fastest time, do I get anything? Is there any award for the second fastest known time?
No, sorry.
Dang, wow.
I
You probably get that a
know.
lot too. Is there one for the
I
oldest known time?
No, or the youngest, or doing it on one leg, or doing it hopping, or doing it while juggling. No, we're not the Guinness Book of World Records where you can have special categories. One thing we have added is a para category to FKTs on that. So you could do it on one leg, and that could be a
Mhm.
special category. Blind athletes, we have tried to make exceptions to that, because I do get a lot of entries and um, inquiries about people that are adaptive athletes that want to
Mhm.
attempt FKTs. So to make it more inclusive, we have added a para category. But no, if you got the second fastest time, you can add a note saying, "Hey, I attempted it and I fell short, but it's still an accomplishment and something that should be noted." So, I know Christian Morgan definitely did.
I can't hear you right now. I don't know why. Oh, I think
Oh,
I can hear you.
so what
Now I can
happened?
hear you. Oh, I just couldn't
Oh,
hear you for a second, but now we're back. All right,
mhm.
let's dive ultra specifically real quick into the Appalachian Trail FKT. And I guess the main question is, this is probably the last thing I'm ever going to do that matters, because everyone else, it's like their swan song of their career, right? You have Scott Jurek, you have Carl Meltzer, you have other people.
I would tend to disagree. I think Tara has
Okay.
gone on to have a pretty stellar year this year. I know Western States didn't turn out how she wanted, and she almost got into Hard Rock, but I'd say she's had a pretty good year so far. And Heather Anderson still is getting
Very
after it.
reassuring. Yeah.
So, no, and I would be very sad if you still didn't do your wacky wild attempts. I know your ultra career and racing is taking off, and, your Cocodona streak, you have a lot going on, but no, I feel like your bread and butter, just like string bean, etcetera, you still gotta do those FKTs, Carl Sabe. I just feel like last year it wasn't the same without having you or Joe as a potential nominee. I feel like y'all are the perennial favorites and always coming up with some wild FKT, even like your little rivalry when it came to the Tom Muir Trail, where you kind of just like
Yeah.
swooped up on him and beat his record that he had for what, a week by 12 minutes? Like, that was
Yeah.
wild.
It was rough. Yeah. We were talking that whole summer, and I think Joey Camps went after it and didn't get it that year. But yeah, it was a popular time. I think it's going to be popular this year too. So we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then now you're going after Joe's record again. Like, is this just like continuing the rivalry that we're just gonna create because, like, I feel like in order for FKTs to get a little bit more notoriety and popularity, I think we need to create some like grudge matches between you two.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's perfect. We'll do some trash talk, stuff like that. We can, I don't know, who would be the villain? Or are we just neither one of us villains?
Oh no, you're the villain. You're the one taking his FKTs. Like, you know, it's like trying to steal his girl. Like, come on.
Yeah, well, he's like put together, married, has like makes way more money than me probably. I'm just like the homeless person who just can pull it together for an attempt or two every couple of years.
Hey, but you're successful at it, so there's something to be said for it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I got the pierced ears and the bleached hair, and I've got the look going. He's got the buttoned up Boston person.
Yeah. Whatever. And that makes for a good storyline, opposites, rivalries. You can't all be the same.
Yeah. Yep. All right, we're gonna do a really dramatic transition here into what the heck is going on in the world of running and endurance sports. It feels like it's now back to being extremely dirty and everything's really bad.
So that's also a thing. People ask me if we drug test for FKTs. And I'm like, they don't even really drug test for trail running or
Yeah.
ultras, except for like, I know Aravaipa does and like Western States and UTMB. It's like, how are we? Like, oh, you finished your FKT. All right, pee in this. Like, I wish we could because, you do hear about people being dirty in the trail scene.
Mhm.
But, you just hear about it all over. And, last week we saw someone getting caught and it was just wild because I ran Chicago last year when Ruth said it and I finished. It was hot. Like it was
Yeah.
not like ideal conditions. And Ben was like, you did a good job, nice job, whatever. But do you know what Ruth did? And I'm like, how am I supposed to know? I just got done. She's like, she ran a 2:09. And I'm just like, "Wait, what? A woman? Our American men can't
I was
even
just
run
gonna
a
say that.
2:09."
Yeah.
PJ Albertson barely could do it and finally did last year. And you're
Mhm.
telling me that a woman took 2 minutes off the world record time in these conditions. It's always the expression, and now you can say it. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. And it's, sad to say, and it's sad to have that point of view, but how can you not? Like, what?
Over and over again in the endurance space, when something is far and away better, it just isn't real. Which is just, I mean, not even the endurance space in sports in general. It just seems like when there's such a gap or an outlier, it always comes to fruition that it was not on a level playing field. And I mean, you can point at baseball, you can point at running, cycling. I'm sure it's in trail, unfortunately. It's just like crazy. And it's one of those things where, yeah, you can't probably patrol it without a certain amount of money or more um, things in place, but it impacts all the clean athletes forever too, which is such an issue because right now, on July 24th, that record is still ratified as a world record, right? They haven't even taken it down. So I don't know. It just makes if so, maybe it's disqualified and they take that away. But then if someone runs a 2:10 or something, it's not going to be thought of in the same way either. It's sort of like it just ruins a fantastic moment for someone who does it the right way. And it pushes people to go above and beyond even what they're capable of to compete with someone who's not doing it on a level playing field.
Well, it's just there's so many different aspects and so many different takes you can have. Like for me, like in any other athlete, it can make you feel worse about your performance. Like I
Mhm.
set up PR, but I'm like, all right, they had the most amazing day, but it's like, and you don't think about it at the time, but it was dirty. Or you think about Ruth from 2021 and 2022 when she won the Chicago Marathon, and Emily Sisson and Emma Bates were second.
Mhm.
And, they knock on wood, like I assume they're clean, did it the right way. But yet no one knows. who gets second in the race. Like, you only know about the winner. So if they had won that, it would have changed their careers. Like, you win a
Mhm.
marathon major, you're set. Like, look at Des and Shalane. Like, they have no
Yep.
worries. Or I assume. Or I don't talk to them. I don't know. But I would think like they're pretty solid. They're pretty set, their appearance fees and everything. It's a game changer. It's a contract changer. But for them, like, they didn't get that opportunity. You know,
Mhm.
anyone that finished in the top 10 of the Olympic marathon, you know, there was someone that got busted for that. And the top 10 in the Olympic marathon get auto bids to be in the world championships this year. So the 11th place person, is one away from that. But if they're all dirty, like, you're taking away that opportunity, that contract, that bonus from other people. And, you know, I'm sure Emily Sisson and Emma Bates would have run completely different races if they didn't have Ruth up in the front and trying to change how they race. Like, there's
Mhm.
so many different things that could have changed. And I mean, yeah, you go back in time, you can change a lot of different things, but it's just tough for them because, you know, Emily Sisson's now dealt with injuries and Emma Bates. Like, maybe
Mhm.
did they go too hard in those races and it impacts their career?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the thing to think about too is, say there's the Pacific Ocean 100 miler and all the pros run it, and maybe the whole podium is doping. Say it's a trail race. Everyone has like podium bonuses in their contract, and if they don't discover it for a year or two and they've changed brands or changed anything, they're not even gonna get that bonus even though they were deserving of it. And I mean that happens in the track space, cycling space, pretty much every sport performance bonuses. And when something is nullified, they miss out on literal pay for the performance that they did. So, like, doping impacts way more than just one person getting suspended. The trickle down is like devastating to the sport.
Yeah, and, like, you just think about, like, in 2012, like, I think it was the women's 1,500 meters, they're now
Yeah,
awarding the person that's, like, 6th or 7th place the bronze medal, and it's
yeah.
nice they're doing that, like, 13 years later, but it's like, it's too little too late. Like, if they got the bronze medal back and then, career totally different, money totally different. Some of these people couldn't even afford a plane ticket to go out to Paris to get this medal, and then
Mhm,
you're telling them, "Oh, but it's okay." Like, no, like, that's a lot to deal with, and if some of the athletes talk about stories where they see needles flying around, like, it's just and good for them for competing even under those circumstances. Like, I don't know if I could, knowing I'm seeing needles and I hear rumors or, like, with Ruth Chepngetich's, you know, stance, her agent is so
mhm,
dirty and is connected to so many people that are doping or have doping suspensions, and he was suspended for assault in 2016. Like, why is he allowed to be in this space? Like, that's what I
yeah,
don't get. Or why are you allowing people associated with him to compete? Like, that's when they need it because athletes aren't just, you know, oh, let me get this masking agent. Let me take this. Like, they're getting it from somewhere. They're not going, oh, let me go to my local Walgreens and get some HGH and some testosterone or some EPO. Like, no big deal. They're getting it from somewhere. Like, why
mhm.
are we not cutting it off from the source? Like, they get the blame, they get the ridicule, they get the, scarlet letter, but they're getting it from somewhere and they're getting the pressure from somewhere. So why are we not attacking the source?
Yeah. So how do we fix it in endurance sports? What's the method?
I mean, I think you have to question everyone involved and you have to get to the bottom. And honestly, like, you kind of have to I guess, I mean, in an ideal world, you put pressure on the athlete to say, where did you find this? Like, your suspension will be lighter or something if you just tell us the truth of what's going on. Like, yes, you'd be kind of a narc, but at least you're getting somewhere and you're making it a cleaner sport. Like, you have to hold people accountable and you have to get to the root of the issue. And that's the only way you solve it. because honestly, like the fact that they caught Ruth, the thing is, they didn't even catch Ruth with drugs. It was a
Yeah.
masking agent. Like
Mhm.
she only gets, if there's no appeal or anything, 2 years. Like in 2 years, she can be back competing like no big deal, kind of like Shelby Houlihan. Like, like no big deal. And it's like, it's just not fair to the other athletes that all of a sudden, they still have these drugs in their system and they can still compete. But, the clean athlete has no advantage.
Yeah, even if someone takes a drug for 2 years, it's changed their physical attributes in their body as well, and if they're clean after that 2-year cycle, then their body is still transformed and changed from doping, so I don't know, it's just like a weird system of here's a ban, but you can come back and you still get residual effects of the cheating as well. And I think the net or like the breadth of people involved in this is just so wide that it's impossible to police and control, which I think is the frustrating thing of there's like I mean, there's testing and certain people in the testing system, but with agents and doctors and things across 200 plus countries, it's just out of control. And there are I mean, there's, like, ways to avoid it or to get less of a suspension with, yeah, masking agents, also if you like, whereabouts, if you're just not where they're showing up to test you, that's just like a slap on the wrist and you don't get anything. I don't know, it's really bad, and I think it's just with more and more murmuring, like, I think trail running is quite dirty as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's with trail running, it's like who pays for it? Like at least with road running and track, like you have USADA, you have WADA that are paying for it. Like with trail running, they don't really have that. So it's like, race directors are paying out of pocket for these drug tests and they're expensive, you
Mhm.
know, to get the person to come out to do the testing. And it takes like 6 to 8 weeks to get the results back. And, you know, so it's not a win-win situation until, more RDs hold people accountable. And the thing is, with them just testing at the races, like you can stop and put the masking agent and get the half-life so that you don't test,
Mhm.
you don't, test positive. And until you do added competition testing for trail running, it's not going to change. And what's wild too is not every track athlete or road running pro road runner is getting tested. So you
Mhm.
may have some people that are getting tested every month, but you may have someone that's only gotten tested like 3 times total, which is
Yeah.
just wild to me where, you know, and they also the other story is like, "Oh, we should just ban Kenya in general." And that's like, it's
That's
not
not
fair to
fair
those
either.
athletes.
Yeah.
No, it's not like Russia where it was like a state, like all of the country was kind of helping abide by it. Like it's individual and, it's not fair to those people that are clean. Like,
Yeah.
it's just you get just some racism and just other things where people just are lashing out, and it's like, that's not fair. You can't assume a whole country is.
What if track and field or trail running or cycling or whatever, what if they did like the Olympic model, but they didn't really say how many samples they're testing? They're like, we're gonna collect a sample once or twice a year, and then we're gonna hold on to this for 10 years, and we might test it during that time, we might not. Maybe that would I don't know, because I think it's gotta be policed in some way where positive testing isn't a positive test isn't the only way that dissuades people from doing it. It's almost like the fear of something happening of if there's like this thing of we're going to continue to develop technology and tests and maybe we can see if you've taken anything in the last year and we're going to hold on to these samples for 15 years. Maybe that decreases the number of people attempting to cheat or something. I don't know. I think we just have to be creative with the solution or we're screwed.
Yeah, it's just yeah, because you think out of competition testing would help with that, but if not everyone's doing it, then, you're not catching them. But you're just hoping the fear of the potential, getting caught. It's just you have to I mean, obviously, if there was a solution, hopefully they would be on it, but something's gotta give at a certain point, Or, sometimes they don't even have to give the prize money back. Like Chicago at least has a rule where they don't give out all the prize money.
Mhm.
And that just saves them because, like you said, if someone gets popped, 6 months later, they're not out like $1 million because, they can't get the money back or, the person already spent it. So to have it like in increments, or if if you're caught, you have to give it all back.
Yeah.
Their agent, 15%. You know, if an agent has an athlete that gets caught one time, I think there should be larger bans or
Yeah.
maybe have the, shoe sponsors be accountable that if your athlete gets caught, like they get a reduction. You
Yeah.
have to make it more impactful that the risk is not worth the reward.
Yeah, I think the monetary side of it, it would be interesting if the shoe sponsor or whoever the premier sponsor is had to, so say their athlete gets popped and they got $100,000 bonus podium award or something, and then their athlete gets popped, they have to pay another 100,000 to the new person on the podium. So it's like a
100%.
disincentive to the shoe brand for sponsoring dirty athletes because then they have to pay out extra. I think because then it would make someone involved responsible because you can't if someone moves on from their shoe sponsor and is with someone else, they can't go back in time and get a bonus. But for that company that sponsored a dirty athlete to make them have to pay out that bonus again to the clean athlete might be the way to write that aspect of it. Because yeah, if we assume we can't get everything 100% perfect, it feels like we should at least aim to write the financial side of it because careers are so short and that is such a valuable amount of money for someone to have if their career is only 5 to 7 years long.
Oh, yeah, especially, like, sprinters or something, like
Mhm.
or with, like, marathoners and ultras, like, you can only run certain amount of marathons and ultras a year. So it's like you only have so many opportunities to really knock it out of the park, and if you do, and then someone that's dirty, does better, and then all of a sudden, like, it's caught, like, you're the winner. You deserve all the accolades.
Mhm.
You deserve what that person got, you know? And it just yeah. Yeah, maybe it is too little too late because your contract's already done, but at least your finances and everything else can be accounted for. I mean,
Mhm.
it's not the same, like, you know, if they find out that Ruth, was dirty in 21 and 22, and then all of a sudden Emily Sisson and Emma Bates are now winners, that's is it too late? But if they get some kind of compensation and some kind of, you know, reward for it, I mean, it makes it not as good. I mean, better than it was, but it's just a sad situation. I mean, how do you not go into a race knowing that like half the pool is dirty? Like, I don't
Yeah.
even know how I could compete and line up and be like, all right, who's clean, who's dirty?
I think you just have to pretend everyone's clean or you're screwed because, yeah, that's like being a 4th grader going up against high schoolers or something. It's just not even close to fair. I don't know. That's the saddest part, especially in some of those really strength heavy events, probably up to the marathon, that if you're doping, you're just getting such a head start on everything in training, the load you can handle, the progression, the injury prevention. Yeah, it's so sad that something can be so beneficial, so illegal, but so used, I guess.
Yeah, and then you have things like the enhanced games that, like, kinda just mocks everything, where you're just
Yep.
like, "No, we're trying to clean it up," and y'all are just doing something where you're like, "Oh, so and so can do it in the fastest." Um, and also seeing certain, like, influencers that are taking, you know,
Yeah.
certain enhancements, and you're like, "What are you doing?" Like, what kind of image are you promoting where you are not clean? Like, it's not fair, and what kind of example are you setting? Like, I don't understand what's going through their heads by doping.
Yeah. It defeats the whole purpose of doing hard things when you're using shortcuts.
Mhm. I mean, didn't you learn that, like, you do things the right way? Like,
Hmm.
once again, when did people's moral compass just, like, go out the window, for winning? Like, I don't know, maybe I just believe in karma where I'm just like, I know if I do anything wrong, something's gonna come back and bite me, like, maybe I guess other people just don't abide by that.
I think it's a tone at the top thing at this point in history, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So we're witnessing wronging people apparently is okay, which is pretty sad.
Yeah, but at least, catching Ruth was a huge step. And like
Mhm.
it should be, USADA, AIU, like everyone should be, or it's not USADA, it's WADA. Um, should be proud that like at least you're catching the people. Like, yes, we see a lot more now, but at least they're being caught, which means they're being tested more. So I
Yeah.
hope they keep that up and maybe it will be a step toward the clean athletes and we just got to keep people accountable.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. How do you watch as a fan and enjoy sports the same, knowing stuff like this happens? And how can we celebrate greatness if we're already always questioning it?
I mean, I guess also like with cycling, sometimes you just assume that everyone's doing it, or some
Unfortunately.
kind of like fine line. I mean, you go look at like, you know, um, shoes. Like everyone has a prototype. Everyone's kind of riding that fine line of what's not like mechanically doping. So everyone's trying to find an edge and you just hope it's like a clean way and you just kind of have a hopeless optimism, I guess you could say, because like, looked at cycling and you watch the Tour de France and you're like, "You know what? They're all probably doping, so whatever, at least it's an even playing field, and if you're gonna win, you gotta dope." But, like, I don't know. I'm totally contradicting myself because at one hand, I'm like, "You know what? They're probably all doping, so whatever." But at the same point, you're just like, yes, you just hope for the best, especially those that are speaking out against all the clean sport and,
Mhm.
or speaking for clean sport. They're not speaking against clean sport.
That would be a
Um,
red flag. Yeah.
yeah. So, I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I think you really just have to focus on competition, and I think even like, it's hard to I don't get as engaged in just a runaway world record anyways, but take, like, the men's 1,500 in the Olympics, like, that was an awesome race to watch and just the competition, and there's no real questions about anyone involved, but just getting to watch the competition between people who are really good is the only way I can be a fan, and yeah, I think anytime someone is ahead by a considerable margin, it's hard for me to be as interested in it. I just think that sprint finish or a sit and kick mentality or something where it's that competition that is really enjoyable to watch, and the point of all of it is really where the fun in being a fan of things is. And when it is like a runaway or a world record by 2 minutes or something like that, I think it just over my life, I've never been as drawn to that, or at least back until Lance, who just ruined so much for me. After that, I can never look at an inspirational figure that's done something no one else has done the same way because that guy, he ruined all the storybook endings for the rest of time for me.
Yet he never tested positive. That's the wild thing,
Mhm.
is, like, you have to keep that in mind, like, never,
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
but I think, we're still gonna have a fun US champs, like, UTMB, like, you just gotta be like, "You know what? If they haven't gotten caught, like, maybe they are clean." I you just I'm gonna just hope for the best, you know?
Yeah.
Not surprised, like, you gotta be amazed by it, but you can't be shocked by anything anymore. Maybe you just gotta be numb to it all and just enjoy, like you said, good performances, like the Bowerman Mile or,
Mhm.
like, what we're gonna see next week with the US champs. Like, you just have to be a fan, maybe cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for jumping on. I think we just covered two totally different topics, but it was fun.
And went on totally different tangents, and I probably contradicted myself a million times, but and went on a million different rants because I have so many thoughts on this, but, you know, totally unsolicited, hot takes, but, it's just things you observe.
Yeah, and anyone can have their own opinions, and I think that's the fun thing, and that's why we're not perfect or right on anything, but it's just fun to have opinions and talk about stuff because it's something that needs some more creative opinions put into it because what's currently happening sure isn't working very well.
No. So hopefully, there's less positive tests and just more, just great performances and, more clean athletes.
Totally. All right, well, on to the Appalachian Trail FKT on that note.
All right. Yes. Just
All
cheer
right.
you on instead, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just cheer for me. I'm homeless, poor, and clean. Don't worry, everybody. I should put that on a t-shirt.
I'd buy it.
Thank you for listening. And our sponsors for this are janji.com, janji.com. You can use code FREEOUTSIDE. I really like the Ultra shorts, the Ultra 5-inch shorts. They're basically running shorts, like split short basically. And they also have pockets. Like pockets are back. They didn't go anywhere, but they're also back. They're still back. So Janji, shop over there, use code FREEOUTSIDE, and you get like a good amount off, a percentage off your order. Or you can join the Janji Collective, all kinds of good stuff. And we have Garage Grown Gear. Tell them I sent you. They sell basically everything. I love Trail Goods Co. meals, and Trail Goods Co. has coffee too. Giving them a free ad, but I really like the owner, Luke Pearsall. He was on this podcast, so you can give that a listen. And then CS Coffee, csinstant.coffee, premium freeze-dried instant coffee. In fact, that's what I drank today because I didn't have a good way of making coffee. Actually, I did. So I had 1 cup of regular coffee and 1 cup of CS Instant coffee. Check it out. It's actually really good. But when you're in the backcountry and you don't want a Starbucks via, you gotta see yourself to csinstant.coffee. That was such a bad line. All right, that was the episode. I hope you enjoyed. Give Allison a follow on One Woman Dance Party, I think. All right, thanks. Stay elite, my friends. Yeah, I get paid all the time to do everything, just to exist. I'm an influencer.
That is incredibly exciting.